नमः ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद। श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की, श्री नरसिंहदेव भक्त प्रहलाद महाराज की, श्री निताई गौर सुंदर की, पतित पावन श्री प्रभुपाद की, पतित पावन श्री गुरुदेव की। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayesu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Studying from Granth Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, chapter number 17, entitled as the Supreme Lord agrees to become Aditi's son. So we'll continue the study of pastimes of Lord Vaman Dev, because today we are celebrating Vaman Jayanti, a very auspicious day. So this is a summary of the chapter. As explained in this chapter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, being very pleased by Payovrata ceremony performed by Aditi, appeared before her in full opulence. At her request, the Lord agreed to become her son. After Aditi performed the Payovrata ceremony for 12 continuous days, the Lord, who was certainly very pleased with her, appeared before her with 4 hands and dressed in yellow garments. As soon as Aditi saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead present before her, she immediately got up, and with great ecstatic love for the Lord, she fell to the ground to offer respectful obeisances. Aditi's throat was choked because of ecstatic feelings, and her entire body trembled with devotion. Although she wanted to offer suitable prayers to the Lord, she could not do anything, and thus she remained silent for some time. Then, feeling solace, observing the beauty of the Lord, she offered her prayers. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Super Soul of all living entities, was very pleased with her, and he agreed to become a son by incarnating as the plenary expansion. He was already pleased by Kasyap Muni's austerity, and thus he agreed to become their son and maintain the demigods. After giving his words of honor to this effect, the Lord disappeared. Following the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Aditi engaged in the service of Kashyapa Muni, who could see by Samadhi that the Lord was within him, and who thus placed his semen in the womb of Aditi. Lord Brahma, who is known as Hiranyagarbha, understood that Supreme Personality of Godhead had entered Aditi's womb. Thus he offered prayers to the Lord. So here the Lord Vishnu is very pleased by the austerities performed by Aditi, and she received the Lord very nicely with lot of loving feelings. The Lord became very pleased and agreed to become her son. She also mentioned that Lord was already pleased with Kasyapa Muni's austerity, so he agreed to become the son of Kasyapa Muni and Aditi. So this is the secret of appearance of Lord. In Srimad Bhagavatam we see that 10th canto how Lord Krishna appeared. Krishna appeared from the pure consciousness. He appeared in the pure consciousness of Vasudeva to the consciousness of Devaki, and from there he appeared in their heart and to their womb, and this way the Lord appeared. This Lord, when he appeared, he gave darshan of his Chaturbhuj Narayan Rup to Vasudeva and Devaki, and both of them offered their prayers, understanding well that the person who has appeared is not an ordinary child, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They offered prayers. Here also we see that Aditi, as soon as she seeing the Lord, she immediately fell down to the ground and offered obeisances, respectful obeisances. That's the way to receive the Lord. As soon as we see the Lord, immediately we should bow down. That is the foremost thing. One should immediately bow down. We see that Dhruva Maharaj also, He performed austerity. He performed austerity, and the Lord appeared. Then he immediately bowed down to the Lord, and he wanted to glorify him. But being a small child, he did not know how to glorify the Lord. So he was perplexed. What should I do? What should I do now? The Lord understood the mind of Dhruva Maharaj, and he touched his forehead with his conch. And all the Vedic understanding came to him, and he glorified the Lord in Uttama Sloka, in the choicest poetry. So similarly here we see that Aditi, being a woman, also she is not confident how to glorify the Lord, and she is also kept silent. Mentioned that she kept silent also because she was completely stunned by the seeing the Lord, and just she kept silent. The Lord understood the feelings of Aditi, and he became pleased. So the Lord actually understands the feeling. Is called Bhavagrahi Janardana, who takes the mood and feelings, absorbs the mood and feeling. The Lord similarly understood the feelings of Aditi, and he was very pleased. So that inside flavor is very important. How what we are feeling for the Lord actually notices that. This is how the Lord has appeared. He agrees to become Aditi's son. कौन सा verse है प्रभु? First, so we'll chant this verse and then we'll continue reading. Sisuka vacha iti uktva saditi rajan svabhartra kasyapena vai anva atishthad vratam idam dvadasaham atandrita. Sisuka uvacha ityukta saditi rajan स्वभर्त्रा कश्यपेन वै अन्व अतिष्ठत् व्रतम् इदम् द्वादशाहम् अन्तर्दिता. श्रीशुक उवाच इति उक्त्वा सादिति राजन् स्वभर्त्रा कश्यपेन वै अन्वनिष्ठत् व्रतम् इदम् द्वादशाहम् अनन्तर्दिता. द्वादशाहम् अतन्द्रिता. शिशुक उवाच इति उक्त्वा सादिति राजन् स्वभर्त्रा कश्यपेन वै अन्वनिष्ठद् व्रतम् इदम् द्वादशाहम् अतन्द्रिता. शिशुक उवाच तद्व्रतमिदम् द्वादशाहं व्रतमदन्विता स्वासदिति राजन् स्वभर्तरा कस्यपेन वै Word for word meaning. Sri Sukha Uvacha. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, Iti, thus, Ukta, being advised, Sa, that lady, Aditi, Aditi, Rajan, O king, Swabhartara, by her husband, Kasyapena, Kasyap Muni, Vai, indeed, Anu, similarly, Atishtat, executed, Vratam idam, this Payovrata, ritualistic ceremony, Dvadasaham, for 12 days, Atandrita, without any laziness. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Sukadeva Goswami said, O king, after Aditi was thus advised by her husband Kasyapa Muni, she strictly followed his instructions without laziness, and in this way performed the Payovrata ritualistic ceremony. Repeat. Sukadeva Goswami said, O king, after Aditi was thus advised by her husband Kasyapa Muni, she strictly followed his instructions without laziness, and in this way performed the Payovrata ritualistic ceremony. Purport. But for advancement in anything, especially in spiritual life, one must strictly follow the bona fide instructions of the teacher. Aditi did this. She strictly followed the instructions of her husband and guru. As confirmed in the Vedic injunctions, Yasya deve para bhakti yatha deve tatha gurau. One should have complete faith in the guru who helps the disciple make progress in his spiritual life. As soon as the disciple thinks independently, not caring for the instructions of the spiritual master, he is failure. Yasya prasadan nagati kutopi. Aditi very strictly followed the instructions of her husband and spiritual master, and thus she was successful. So this is the key of success in spiritual life. What is the key? One should strictly follow the instructions of a bona fide spiritual master. Then one will become surely successful. Here we see that Aditi just did that for short period, 12 days. And she was able to see the Lord. The Lord appeared in front of her. And not only appeared, he agreed to become her son. And I actually became his son and performed these wonderful pastimes of Vaman Leela. So how it was possible? Because Aditi, by her good fortune, had a strong faith in her husband, and she followed his advice. Very strictly she followed, and it's mentioned that she followed strictly the instructions without laziness. So one should not be lazy to follow the instructions. The problem with us in Kali Yuga people that we become very lazy. One of the quality of the Kali Yuga. Manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya hi upaduta. So these are the characteristics of age of Kali, that people have become very lazy. Especially lazy for doing any spiritual activity. That is the thing. So here Aditi, she performed all the rules, regulations without laziness. Actually, it's mentioned in the Pancharatra Pradeep. There is one offense when we are performing service to the Lord. That is, to become lazy in executing the service. This itself is an offense. To show the laziness to not do the service. Or to delay the service. What is laziness? Something comes, okay, I will do it later. After some time again I will do it later. So this is how we keep postponing. So that is the sign of laziness. So it should not become lazy. That's lazy, like we are great fortune, we get an opportunity to serve, and then out of laziness, we actually miss that opportunity. So we become, how we became very most fortunate, similarly we became most unfortunate also. So so it's not be lazy. She performed all the whatever how it was explained by Kasyapa Muni. She exactly followed with great enthusiasm. So how we can come out of laziness by maintaining our enthusiasm. Utsahat, dhairyat, nishchayat, tat karma pravartanat. So by showing the enthusiasm, we can overcome laziness. We see the Dhruva Maharaj also, just a 5 years old boy, and Narad Muni, he actually discouraged him that you won't be able to do what I am saying. And he said, no, you just tell me what should be done. I will do everything. He was very enthusiastic, very determined to see the Lord and get his desire fulfilled. So he was so determined, sankalpa, and also very enthusiastic. And then Narad Muni saw this, his determination. He became, Narad Muni was inspired. Oh, this how Kshatriyas are. They are all glories to them, that they are not able to take this kind of small kind of insult, because he going to use this quality to progress, to make him advance in his spiritual life. So he just triggered that, and he understood that this person is going to do everything what I'm going to say. So very confidently he explained that you do like this. It's mentioned that he explained how to worship the Lord, how to meditate upon Him, His form, all that he told, he revealed to Dhruva Maharaj. And Dhruva Maharaj, as he was explained, he followed step by step. He followed everything, and very shortly, within 6 months, small child, 5 years old boy, just 6 months, the Lord, actually it's mentioned that he was forced to appear. The Dhruva Maharaj, in his meditation, he became so much absorbed, and in his austerity, he even stopped breathing. So much. Can we see that what level of absorption it will be? That is so much absorbed that forget to even breathe. So while he was performing this austerity, he became very heavy, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead has appeared inside his consciousness. The Lord is heavier than heaviest. So he became very heavy. And by his power of austerity, the heat was coming. And because he has stopped the breathing, then the whole universal air system was choked. So everything started suffocating. All the devas, they started suffocating. Like we have experienced this suffocation to some extent in COVID time, that people were not able to breathe. So that kind of suffocation, that was only a small degree. So a small boy sitting somewhere in Vrindavan, Madhuban, and he performing his austerity. He doesn't want to disturb anybody. But while doing this what happened? that everybody, this breathing was completely choked. They all gasping for the breath and run to the Lord. Please save us. The Lord understood the situation and immediately came out of the consciousness of Dhruva Maharaj. Seems that it's mentioned that he was so nicely absorbed in meditating the Lord, suddenly the Lord disappeared from his consciousness and he is no more able to see the Lord. So he became very disturbed and he opened the eyes. And what he saw, whom he saw inside his mind, is now appeared in front of him, standing in front of him. So far he was just able to meditate upon him. He is now personally seeing the form of the Lord, in more grossly seeing the Lord. So he also became very stunned. It's mentioned all the Ashta Sattvic Vikara appeared. He started crying and he has started standing on the end. Body started trembling. Doesn't know what to do. As soon as he saw the Lord, he immediately bowed down and then is just going and hugging the Lord. He wants to glorify. The Lord is very pleased with him. He wants to glorify, but a small boy is not even gone to Gurukul and doesn't know how to glorify the Lord. He's very perplexed. Then Lord touches his counsel to his forehead. Then he gets all the understanding of Vedic understanding about the Lord, and he starts glorifying him in a very nice poem, very nice way, nice stuti of Dhruva Maharaj. So in this way, the whole meeting is explained. The point is how this happened to him, because he followed the instructions of Narada Muni. Similarly here, Aditi, we see that she also followed the instructions of her husband. And where Dhruva Maharaj took 6 months, he took only 12 days. So taking 6 months, 12 days doesn't matter actually. Time is not constraint. One should be assured of one's success. Maybe today or tomorrow, after 2 years or after 2 lives. We see in the past times of Lord Chaitanya and Mukunda, the Lord denied to see him because he was some mistake he was doing. The Lord did not like that. He was speaking something against devotion, devotional philosophy. So the Lord did not like it. So he was banned to enter into Sankirtana of the Lord. The Lord said, "It's not call him." Then this was told. He was not allowed inside. Then it was told him that no, you are not allowed to come inside. Then he asked, "Okay, you please find out when I will be allowed." Then they went and asked. So he's asking when he will be allowed. The Lord just like that said, "After millions of life." So they went and told him that you will be allowed after millions of life. So as soon as he heard, he started dancing. So then this news reached to Lord Chaitanya that he became very happy as soon as we told him this, after millions of life only you will be allowed. Don't know for what reason he is so happy that he is actually very happy and is dancing like nothing. Then the Lord they also asked him, "Why you are so happy?" And he said, "At least I'll be allowed. Does not matter after millions of life, but I will be allowed to again get the association of Lord Chaitanya. That itself is so great." So this was told to Lord Chaitanya. This is what he is telling, that at least he will be allowed. The Lord became very pleased with him, and he said, "Okay, call him immediately." So we see our condition is we are in the material world from time immemorial. We are here or not? And how long we are going to be here? We do not know. How long more we are going to be here? Really, we have come to Krishna consciousness, so there is a great hope for us, and we will go back to Godhead. But in normal situation, I am saying, living entity, jiva, is conditioned in this world. From time immemorial is here, and how long is going to be here? Cannot say. It will be perpetually will be here. That's how the probability is that we will be remaining here perpetually. So in that, by a great fortune, we get an process, or we get an opportunity to go and unite with the Lord. Doesn't matter 12 days, 6 months, 6 years. Doesn't matter. Already we are engaged in service of the Lord. So that is what we are going to do when we go back to Godhead also. So, so be very happy and enthusiastic to perform devotional service, because this devotional service, the devotional service, the Lord Krishna, after rasa dance, then he disappeared from the scene, and all gopis were searching him, and then again they found Krishna, and they took Krishna on the bank of Yamuna, and they made a very good seat for him. They made him to sit down, and then this way the Lord was talking to them. And then he said to them, I am so grateful for your devotional service. There's nothing more I can give you in return, because the opportunity of serving, performing devotional service is the greatest thing. There's nothing more than that. And Lord is telling, I have nothing to give you, greater than this. This is the greatest. So I just say that, kindly be satisfied with your devotional service. So, opportunity to continuously render devotional service, the greatest opportunity. So one should not become lazy in doing that. If you become lazy, then it actually is considered offensive. Should come out of it. We'll continue the reading. With full undiverted attention, Aditi thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this way, brought under full control her mind and senses, which resembled forceful horses. She concentrated her mind upon the Supreme Lord Vasudeva. Thus she performed the ritualistic ceremony known as Payovrata. With full undiverted attention, Aditi thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in this way brought under full control her mind and senses, which resembled forceful horses. She concentrated her mind upon the Supreme Lord Vasudeva. Thus she performed the ritualistic ceremony known as Payovrata. Purport. This is the process of Bhakti Yoga. Anyabhilasita sunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena krishnanusīlanam bhaktir uttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities of philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. One simply has to concentrate upon the lotus feet of Vasudeva, Krishna, Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayo. Then the mind and senses will be controlled, and one can engage himself fully in devotional service of the Lord. The devotee does not need to practice the Hatha Yoga system to control the mind and senses. His mind and senses are automatically controlled because of unalloyed devotional service to the Lord. So this is the secret to control mind and senses. What is said about mind and senses here? It's like forceful horse, compared with forceful horse. It's very difficult to tame a forceful horse. Even a very skilled person also get bewildered. If a horse is there, very difficult to tame them. Very restless. So this mind and sense is compared with that. So we see the Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana Yoga is Ashtanga Yoga, we know yama, niyama, asana, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, all these different limbs are there. So the first thing is to control the mind and senses. Performing goal of the meditation is to control mind and senses. And for that, one has to follow so many rules and regulations. Vidhi and Nised. So many rules and regulations, don't do this, don't do this, that. The mind will not divert and it will focus. Then also it is very difficult to control the mind. We see the classical examples of Vishwamitra Muni, that he was on his peak of perfection of dhyana yoga, but again his mind got disturbed just by hearing the sound of ankle bell coming from the Menaka's dancing. And then another classical example is Saubhari Muni. He was also very disturbed. And then Vishwamitra several times happened. Sometimes he became very angry. Then also he came out from his practice of dhyana yoga. So it's very difficult to control the mind. Arjuna, after hearing all Krishna has described, he said, I can control the wind, but I cannot control the mind. So it seems to be not practical for me. So it's very, very difficult. So here it is said, Aditi, she was able to control the mind, even being a woman. How she was able to do? Because she did not take any Ashtanga yoga process, but she was able to concentrate. She was able to give her best, because her mind was fixed upon the Lord. So it is said, mind is very, very difficult to control. Arjuna also saying very difficult to control. Very chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramada balava didham. It's telling very difficult to control. Mind for 4 reasons. It's telling chanchalam. It's very flickering. If something is we see the position is there maintained, then we can go and strike on that position. But the position keeps changing, sometime here, sometime there, sometime on some other place. So it's very difficult to bring something under control. So mind is always very restless, chanchalam, very restless. Now here, sometime after this to on some other thoughts, and then immediately it will go to some other thoughts. So this is one reason. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramadi. Balva dhidam is like mad, very strong. Some thought comes very difficult to give up. Very strong and very obstinate. So these are all some reasons Arjuna is telling and saying very, very difficult to control the mind. But there is one way, and which is very simple, and the mind can be immediately brought under control. How? Though the mind is very difficult to control, but Krishna is called Parameshwara, Supreme Controller. So for us to control our mind is very difficult, but it won't be difficult for the Lord, because He is Supreme Controller, Parameshwara. Iswara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karanam. So as soon as we fix our mind upon the lotus feet of the Lord, we'll see that mind will become tamed. That is the secret. So as soon as we absorb ourselves in serving the Lord's devotees, somehow we engage in devotional service, then we see that mind starts becoming peaceful. This Prabhupada Saraswati has said that the mind is actually surrounded by the senses. So the senses actually is always pulling the mind. Like we see something, then the mind goes behind that, starts thinking about it. Then we eat something, the mind is thinking about that. Then each senses actually is pulling. Eyes, nose, ear, touch, all these things. And because of this, mind is becoming restless. But if with these senses, we engage in service of the Lord. Rishikena rishikesa sevanam bhakti uchyate. With the senses, when we engage in service of the Lord, then we see that it will become easier for mind to think about the Lord. So, Mana Krishna Padara Vindayo, if the mind is meditating on the Lord, then it becomes peaceful. When we engage our senses in the service of the Lord, then mind becomes controlled. So this is the secret to control the mind. Prabodhananda Saraswati is telling that I have no more fear from my senses, which are like serpent, deadly serpent. I have no more fear from them, because their poisonous teeth is being broken. So when poisonous teeth of a serpent is broken, then no one need to fear from them. Those senses are so deadly, like a poisonous snake. But when we engage in service of the Lord, the teeth of snake is broken. So there is no need to fear from them. So we engage in service of the Lord, we become even fearless. So our senses comes under control. That's what happened to Aditi. She was able to meditate upon the Lord because she engaged her senses in service of the Lord. Karma, kama, karma. He said that how to conquer the lust. Also, lust is very powerful, very forceful. So, if we engage oneself in the service of the Lord, in devotional service, actively engage ourselves, then we see that one becomes free from the lust. So, this devotional service of the Lord is very, very powerful and very purifying, non-different from the Lord. This is what is happening. We should understand the science. How Aditi was able to see the Lord just in 12 days and was able to get her desire fulfilled. The Lord has agreed to become her son. It is said, everything the Lord will give, but his bhakti will not give so easily. Because by giving bhakti, he gets controlled by his devotees. We have this picture, we see that how Yasoda Maya is able to tie Krishna. And Krishna, he doesn't like to be tied. He wants to be free. He's fully independent. Abhigya Swarat, fully independent. But here he is coming under the control of Mother Yasoda and he is being tied. So he doesn't, give bhakti so easily. And here we see that again Krishna has agreed to become the son of Aditi. So how Aditi was able to get such position just in 12 days. So this is the science we are understanding. First thing we saw that she follows the instructions as it was told by Kasyapa Muni. And while Kasyapa Muni has advised her to engage herself in the service of the Lord. Payovrata and all these things he was mentioned for the engaging one's mind and senses in the service of the Lord. In this way, she was able to be focused and she performed this without laziness. We see that all these things are happening and within very short time, she will be able to derive the best of result. Prabhupada is writing, then the mind and senses will be controlled and one can engage himself fully in devotional service of the Lord. The devotee does not need to practice the Hatha Yoga system to control the mind and senses. His mind and senses are automatically controlled because of unallied devotional service to the Lord. So here we see the superior nature of devotional service to karma, jnana and dhyana yoga. So what is possible, dhyana yoga, the result of a dhyana yoga comes very easily as a byproduct of bhakti yoga. See, the mind is automatically controlled. We see that how we say the devotional service is like a lift and all other processes are like ladder. So very shortly and easily the devotional service one gets the result of dhyana yoga. My dear king, the original supreme personality of Godhead dressed in yellow garment and bearing a conch shell, disc, club and lotus in his four hands then appeared before Aditi. So this is see the yogis, the jnanis, they have so much of mental speculations. Naiti, neti, neti. They for life after life they do mental speculation, but they are not able to understand the nature of the absolute truth. That bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. Many lifetimes they take and they are not able to understand. And what happening to Aditi? Just after 12 days, the Lord has revealed his form. He has revealed himself. And she understands everything. This is a sammam bonam, the topmost knowledge. Revelation of the form of the Lord. She is experiencing it. Not only theoretically understanding. There is a difference between theoretical knowledge, jnana, vijnana. She has first-hand experience of the form of the Lord. She said, my dear king, the original supreme personality of Godhead dressed in yellow garment and bearing a conch shell, this club and lotus in his four hands, then appeared before Aditi. The Lord is revealing his form. This is the topmost knowledge. And how Aditi's got? Just in 12 days. We simply followed instructions of Kasyapa Muni, followed all rules and regulations. He was not so disturbed. Mind also was fully cooperating because she was performing devotional service. The power of devotional service, bhakti yoga. Thus, you should note this. So there is some key points are there. If we are missing that, then we will not get that result. It's like Prabhupada is writing that following the instructions of a bona fide spiritual master. And if we make mistake in that, then we will say that it will take a longer period to us till we get corrected and tuned to it. The Lord has revealed his form, which is very difficult to understand. Advaitam Acyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam. They said that Muni Pungavanam, that the sages, with the speed of mind, they are trying to reach to the Lord, but they are not able to. So it's not easy to actually understand the form of the Lord. Very difficult. And here Aditi is able to see the Lord. Same thing happened to Dhruva Maharaj. Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki, Sri Prahlad Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki, Sri Nitai Gaur Sundar ki jai, Patit Pansla Prabhupada ki jai. So the result of Dhyana Yoga came, the result of Jnana Yoga came, and we will see this further, what's happening to Aditi. When the Supreme Personality of Godhead became visible to Aditi's eyes, Aditi was so overwhelmed by transcendental bliss that she at once stood up and then fell to ground like a rod to offer the Lord her respectful obeisances. Aditi stood silently with folded hands, unable to offer prayers to the Lord because of transcendental bliss. Tears filled her eyes, and the hairs on her body stood on end. Because she could see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face, she felt ecstasy and her body trembled. Dhruva Maharaja went with the desire, I want a kingdom greater than my grandfather. But when he saw the Lord, he is telling, Kirtartho asmin, Swamin Kirtartho asmin varam nayache. That I have become so obliged and greatly fortunate that I have seen you. I have got you. This is the most valuable jewel. Most valuable jewel. In fact, I came looking for broken piece of glasses, but by your kindness, you have appeared in front of me and given me the most valuable jewel. I have become so thankful. I don't want anything else. Swamin Kirtartho Asmin Varam Nayache. I don't need anything. And he was feeling such a great ecstasy, having received such a fortune. So Aditi also similarly sees feeling that. First thing is happening, she is following the instructions, and then thinking about the Lord. All his senses and mind is engaging in service of the Lord. The senses and minds is not troubling so much as should be, because engaged in service of the Lord. And then we see that very shortly the form of the Lord is revealed. The Lord himself has appeared. And what happening after that? The love, which is dormant in living entity's heart, is now revived. And she starts feeling the ecstasy. So the devotion service, the devotion as now is manifesting. She is feeling so much great happiness that tears are flowing from her eyes, hair standing on the end. This is the result. See the Lord, and when we are engaged, this is called bliss. Coming from devotional service actually supersede to the bliss coming from Brahmananda, from understanding of Brahman realization. Brahmanandas also, they are able to give up all the material aspiration just to merge in the effulgence of the Lord, because there's so much happiness is there, greater joy is there. Why are you able to give up all other material aspiration? Because there's so greater, higher taste is there. And this Brahmananda is compared like a drop in front of an ocean of devotion, bliss coming from devotional service. So this Aditi, her devotion is now revived, and she is feeling great joy. Similarly, Dhruva Maharaj also, we see that. Therefore, that's what Prabhupada is saying, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. While chanting the holy name of the Lord, this situation will come to us, that also will become similarly very joyful. This is what's happening to Aditi. Then further it is said, O Maharaj Parikshit, the demigoddesses Aditi then began offering her prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a faltering voice and with great love. She appeared as though drinking through her eyes the Supreme Lord, who is husband of Goddess of Fortune, the enjoyer of all sacrificial ceremonies, and the master and Lord of the entire universe. After observing the Payovrata, Aditi was certain that the Lord had appeared before her as Ramapati, the husband of all good fortune, just to offer her sons all opulences. She had performed the yajna of Payovrata under the directions of her husband, Kashyapa, and therefore she thought of the Lord as a Yajnapati. She was completely satisfied to see the Master and Lord of the entire universe come before her to fulfill her desire. The Lord has come and is going to fulfill all her desires. But she is already satisfied seeing the Lord. This is a prayer of Narottama Das Thakur, where he is singing that when the day will come, when I chant the name of Gauranga, all my hairs will stand on end. Gauranga bolite habe pulaka sarira. When the day will come, as soon as I chant the names of Lord Gauranga, the result of chanting the name of the Gauranga is what result Aditi is deriving by seeing the Lord. The same result is there by chanting the name of the Lord. It is not different, because the name of the Lord is non-different from the Lord. So as soon as one chants the holy name of the Lord, so derive the same result. That all Ashtasattvik Vikar. So Gauranga Bolite Habe Pulaka Sarira Hari Hari Bolite Naine Babenira. So saying that when I chant the name of Hari and tears will flow from my eyes. When the day will come. When all the material desires from my heart will become nullified by mercy of Lord Nityananda. So this all is spiritual desires, spiritual aspiration is praying that Visaya Vasana Kabe Tuksha Habe Visaya Chariya Kabe Suddha Habe Mana Kabe Ha Maheri Bo Shri Vindavana. So when my mind will be thinking about the Vindavana, the pastimes of the Lord in Vindavana, now we are all engaged in the all material activities, Visaya, material news, so many things. But when I will be completely absorbed in the thinking of the past times of Vindavana. So this prayer goes on. He says that when I will be Rupa Raghunath Pade Rahumor Asa Prathana Karaye. So when I will take the shelter of Rupa and Raghunatha, lotus feet, when I will be, when I get the taste to read the scriptures, all the compositions written by Rupa and Raghunatha. So this is like that Nautam Das Thakur is aspiring. So that's how when we chant the holy name of the Lord, same feeling should come, but we are not able to get the same feeling. Why? Why we are not able to get? Yes, bro? Visavasana, yeah. We are chanting the name of the Lord and also doing offense. So because of that effect of offense, we are not able to, that is a stumbling block or blocking us to experience that. So here we see Aditi, she followed the order of a spiritual master and she performed all that without laziness. Similarly, we should not be lazy when we chant the holy name of the Lord. What is this laziness? We should not become lazy to hear the name of the Lord. We should try to control our mind and hear the name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Very simple thing. We should not become lazy to hear the names of the Lord. And if we do this, we see that Aditi only in 12 days she got to see the Lord. So similarly, very shortly we will also start feeling the joy while chanting the holy name of the higher taste we will start getting. See that how hippies, when Prabhupada was preaching, they were able to give up all their addictions, which was very, very difficult to give up. Why? They started getting some higher taste. So their other things were not so interesting. So similarly, when we give up this laziness and become attentive, chanting the names of the Lord, then we also derive that higher taste. Kranta Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Patit Panch Prabhupada ki jai.